In this video, we are going to focus on getting simulations from the studio interface, which is the goal of our energy modeling process. Let me do the last thing first and just click on the simulate button you see on the top right corner of the screen. And immediately you will see that a F280 report is showing up on the screen with some loads and some details about the project. On the first page, you see your heating capacity and your cooling capacity, as well as some general information about the building. And then on the second page, you have some more details, such as the airtightness of the project, the interior and exterior design conditions, what kind of assemblies we have. And on the last page, on the third page, you see your room spaces, the names of them, and the heating and cooling loads. Reports like this on their own, they are not valuable. What is very important is you making sure that you are seeing the right number. While the studio gives you many safeguards to make sure these numbers are reliable, there are still a fair bit of due diligence that you need to put in to make sure that you are reporting and using the right numbers. For example, if I scroll to the second page and I see that there are a lot of assemblies are missing and the above grade walls are marked as uninsulated, this should be a question for me that prompts me to do a little bit of investigation into my model. If I look at the weather location, or for example, the number of occupants, the things that are not quite sitting right with me, I can see them from this report. But even before we get to this report, Studio's interface gives us a lot of places where we can go and check things. The first cue that I like to use to check how my project is doing is by color of different things in the 3D model. For example, here you see that 3 walls by default are colored blue, but here, if I'm not hovering over this wall, I see that the color is white. That indicates this wall is marked as interior, it's adiabatic, and these 3 walls are exterior. The other way I would like to better understand my model is through the table view. Here in the table view, you can have access to a number of different tables that put the details of every building component into your view. And there is also a count of how many of these things you should be expecting. Imagine I want to just model a simple cabin, and that is with a slab on grade, with a flat roof, and 4 exterior walls. Well, if I go to my table view, I will notice that I have only 3 walls, which I also saw from the color of the walls in my 3D interface. But I also noticed that I don't have a ceiling, I don't have doors or windows, nor I have a foundation. So looking at the model, I'm getting an idea of what needs to be fixed in here. Lastly, we also have an issues pane, which automates some of this error checking for you. So for example, it can already tell me that my foundation is not specified. And I could see that also in the table view, I don't have a foundation. Well, if I select my floor, I will realize that this is marked as an interior floor. And that's why this is not quite marking up as a foundation. In the same vein that the wall was white and it was telling me it's adiabatic, the same applies to the floor. But what about the roof? What about the ceiling? We are not showing ceilings because they're going to obstruct the interior and you may not be able to select the things inside the room. However, you can still go to the components pane on the left and press ceilings, and the ceiling of the room gets selected. If you notice here, the adjacent to field of this ceiling is interior. As I'm also seeing in my issues pane, it says the ceiling is too small to cover the entire building. And if I open it, it tells me that the ceiling area of this building is 0 square feet, means there is no exterior ceilings. Now, if you have a room on top of this unit that is making that surface adiabatic, that's not a problem. But for us, we want to have a little cabin, as we talked about it, with a flat roof. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is to mark this ceiling as exterior. And I'm gonna make sure the type is flat. I could give it a construction such as insulated 2x6. I'm also gonna go ahead and mark this wall as exterior so that I have all of the walls being exterior. And I want to also select all my walls using this option. I could have also used the shift key, and I want to change the construction of them to insulated 2x6. Okay, so we have made some progress here. If I select the floor as well, I can change it to foundation, or if you don't have the foundation option, it means that you're using a future version of a studio, which everything is going under floor. But if you set your foundation to soil, you see that the color has changed, and now the foundation is this brown color, indicating that it's facing the soil. And let me say that I have 2 inches of rigid insulation on this slab on grade foundation as well. Now, if I look at my issues pane, you will notice that some of my issues have already been resolved, but I still get no front door is specified. And it's telling me that the building doesn't quite have a door that is marked as a front door. I do have a door here, but it turns out that this door is not exterior, and also this front door toggle is not there. And the moment I said that, then the issues go away. Okay, we are at a pretty good place visually with our issues and also our 3D model. But it's always good to check the table view before jumping too far ahead. In the table view, I'm noticing that my door is now 1, it's marked, but my windows are 0. If I want to imagine that these 2 windows are the windows of my cabin, or at least this one is a window and this one is kind of a patio door, well, I noticed that both of them are marked as interior. If I select this one and set it to exterior, in my table view, I should be able to see it, because now it's not an adiabatic surface, it's actually an exterior surface. Same goes with this item. Here is marked as a door. I can change it to window, and I can say this one is exterior, and I will notice that here in my table view is it's marked as a window. So keep in mind that what you see in table view are the things that are going inside your energy simulation. And those are the surfaces that have a temperature gradient on their 2 sides. If some surface is marked as interior, that means that surface is adiabatic and it's not going to have an impact on the model, and therefore we don't show it in this table view. This way, with table view, you can actually see what is going inside the model. Here I have a room, 1 foundation, 4 walls, 1 ceiling, 1 door, 2 windows, and also this little blue dot here, which is indicating a ventilation system, which I intend to keep it here. And now when I press simulate, I have a model that may have a slightly different heating and cooling capacities, and it's much more reliable for me to count on these numbers because I have done my due diligence and I know the numbers are correct. One last thing I want to say, for a new project, when you want to press simulate or you want to go to table view, you may notice a pro icon at the top. That means you have to unlock this project with a one-time payment, and when you click on the simulate button, a dialog will show up. If you don't have your payment info added to Studio, you can add it, and then you can upgrade the project to Pro perpetually. We have created this interface in a way that allows you to iterate. So if you press simulate once and you feel something is off, you can easily go back, you can fix it, and you can retry your simulation until you get the best results.